What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Keep It Hoop YouTube channel. And for the first time since Monday, we're going to get to do a video on something besides the Brooklyn Nets. Tuesday, I broke down the Nets' defensive troubles. Wednesday, I talked about the potential Harden trades. And yesterday, I talked about what the Harden trade will mean for their offense. By the way, if you could go watch those videos, give them a thumbs up, comment, share, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, today we're going to look at NBA.com's latest Kia rookie ladder, go through them, talk about some of the rookies, maybe compare them to what I had expected coming into the season, thoughts, all that good stuff. But yeah, before we get started, if you could subscribe, like, share, and comment, I'd love that. It'd mean a lot. The views are coming in, but still trying to get more subscribers. So please, any kind of support, feedback, exposure mean a lot. But yeah, let's just list them 1 to 10 first. So NBA.com has LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Patrick Williams, Tyrese Maxey, Peyton Pritchard, Cole Anthony, and Sadiq Bey. I think that's a solid list. I think you can make the argument for swapping Edwards and Patrick Williams, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, starting off with LaMelo Ball, I don't think. I mean, it's a given. I don't think you can argue that if you don't have LaMelo Ball number one in terms of which rookie looks the best right now, then you haven't been watching the NBA right now, or you just biased. The counting numbers of 12, 7, and 6 look good. And if we talked about in our LaMelo Ball video, and we'll put the link above right now, but he just checks off a lot of boxes for you. There's things you want to see in a franchise point guard. He has the confidence, the composure, the ball handling, the vision, the passing. The things we talked about that would translate immediately, but he's a great rebounder for his size, and not just like he gets a lot of rebounds because he plays a lot, but he boxes out and actually goes in and chases the rebound. And he's getting in passing lanes, so the steals are there. There's definitely downsides to his game still, and there are with almost every player in the league, and especially rookies. But he can get stronger and become a little bit better at finishing on the rim. I do think that he has a lot of creativity around the rim, and he's not afraid. So the mentality is there. And the defense, he can obviously get better at. And the shot selection can be questionable at times. But the thing I love more than anything is just his willingness to make the right pass and the winning play. A lot of times in today's age of obsessing over triple doubles and stats in general, players chase stats, and he's a rare young point guard who's just willing to make the right pass, even if it doesn't get him the assist. He's always looking up and always looking for his teammates, and that's contagious. Guys are willing to do the same, and guys are running harder and cutting harder and screening harder, and it's a really good thing. It's a culture changer. Um, yeah, and the thing I'm also really surprised about is his maturity and mentality and professionalism. Those were some of the biggest questions about him coming into his rookie year. People had cited his time on reality TV shows and some of the things that him and his dad have gotten into. So I think he got a little bit of a bad rep, and to be honest, I was someone that I didn't doubt him, but I also kind of questioned, all right, where is he at going to be mentally, at least to start his career? But he's been really good. I mean, we haven't heard anything negative from the coaching staff, the players, the organization itself, the fans. Like, I mean, he's just been, I think, everything Charlotte would have wanted and more. So, number one, he's been a pleasant surprise. Again, I never thought he would have been bad. I thought he would have been a good player. I'm just surprised at how fast he's been able to make the leap and adjustment to the NBA game. Looking at James Wiseman now, number two. I agree with this as well. He's averaging 11, 6, and a block and a half a game. Some of the games he's had foul troubles, and some of the games he hasn't gotten a lot of shots or opportunities because I think the Warriors as a whole, they're still trying to figure some things out. But at certain points in the season, especially at the beginning, the Wiseman just looked so much better than advertised, especially on offense. Like the defense we thought or we knew was going to be there, the rim protecting, the blocks. And he's another guy that people had high expectations for, but didn't know how much impact he'd have immediately on offense. But his game is just so refined for someone his age. He isn't an elite athlete like Anthony Davis or Mitchell Robinson or like Dwight Howard in his prime, but he is a good rim runner, has a really nice mid-range shot and three-point shot. Three-point shots he hasn't taken too much of, but the shot's there. And Kerr has taken him out of games, down the stretch, important moments sometimes. And Wiseman has kind of voiced his frustration with that. But I love seeing that competitiveness of wanting to be there. But the Warriors are trying, to both bring him along slowly and compete But I think as Kerr gets more confidence in him, it's only a matter of time before Kerr just completely unleashes him. And you know, when that comes to fruition, I think his stats will look better. And as he continues to grow, continues to get more experience, and he has a great guy in Draymond who he can learn a lot from. I think we're just going to continue to see Wiseman do a lot of good things. So Tyrese Halliburton at number 3. Um, Halliburton has been both a surprise a little bit and not a surprise. On my draft preview, I had Halliburton going top 5 or 6, I think. I thought he was a player that could fit in on any team next to any kind of guard. He can shoot the three, play defense, another guy that just makes winning plays. He can play on the ball or create off the ball. I thought Atlanta would have been a really good option for him next to Trey. You get a guy who takes some of the pressure away from Trey. He can again play on the ball, so you allow Trey to kind of get a little bit more breathing room, get some rest if he needs, and Trey can obviously shoot off the ball, and then Tyrese can take on the defensive matchups that Trey cannot because he's not a good defender. They went with Okongwu obviously, and Tyrese Halliburton slipped all the way down to Sacramento, which I think where Sacramento took him was an absolute steal. But he's another guy that again, you know, like I've just said, I thought he was going to go a lot higher. I expected a lot of things from Halliburton, but I didn't think he'd average 12 and 3 and 5. After 3 weeks of NBA, I really didn't. Um, he's been very good. I know people have kind of joked about his shot form looking kind of funky, but again, I mean, he's always been able to make it. And if it goes in, it doesn't matter. You look at a guy like Kevin Martin, right? Kevin Martin, for those of you that don't know, go look him up. Great shooter in his time from the free throw line and from the three. But his shot looked really weird. Reggie Miller's another guy, one of the greatest shooters of all time. Has that weird like flick in his wrist. Isn't the ideal or the most fundamental looking jump shot in terms of form, but if it goes in, it goes in. And Halliburton, he's been one of the lone bright spots of that team because that team, Sacramento's not winning as much as I'm sure they hoped. Um, Marvin Bagley looks bad, and I think needs a fresh start because I was really high on him coming into the draft um, a few years ago. Buddy Hield got off to a horrendous start shooting the ball. He's kind of turned it around. Had a really nice game last night, I think. But yeah, I'm really impressed with Halliburton. I like the kind of player he is, and just no ego, makes winning plays. It's been big for the Kings. Anthony Edwards. So the Wolves haven't started Edwards, which is a bit surprising because I thought they'd just let him go, just kind of learn and get all the minutes. His scoring is actually lower than I thought it would be. He's at 13.6 points per game, which leads all rookies, and it's not bad by any means, But I expected with Minnesota probably trying to play high pace and just focusing on offense and him being very physically ready for the league. I thought that he would be averaging, 16, 17-ish. His jump shot hasn't been consistent, and that's probably held him back from that. The minutes as well, him not starting probably has held back his numbers as well. He's not getting to the rim as much as I thought he would. With his athleticism and again his size, I think he can do a better job of getting to the line. His defense, which has always been questioned, probably the biggest question about him coming into the draft, he hasn't been anything defensively. And it's disappointing because he has the tools to be a good defender. He's athletic, strong build. There's no he shouldn't at least be an above average defender. But yeah, you could have him lower at number 5, I think, because I've been more impressed with Patrick Williams so far. Anthony Edwards' numbers are better, at least scoring wise, but I think it's because I expected more from Edwards and he's underperforming. He's been underwhelming. And I expected less than what Patrick Williams has done, and he's overperforming. So that's why I think I could potentially see, you could argue Patrick Williams being number 4 and Anthony Edwards being number 5. Before we get into Patrick Williams, I also do think that, I never want to doubt a player this early in their careers. We're now in a generation where teams and fans want results immediately. And these are 19, 20-year-old guys who are still learning the game. Not just the NBA game, but just basketball as a whole. The basketball just has so many layers to it. And especially with AAU being big and a lot of players being kind of drawn into playing with their friends and just running up and down the floor and the most athletic guys winning, sometimes I think compared to 20, 30 years ago, the game of basketball and really learning the in and outs and just learning fully, all of basketball, as a whole, and really developing your basketball IQ kind of gets lost in that. These guys are still learning, and that's apart from just physically adjusting to the game as well. So I don't want to doubt any young player, but I do think I haven't seen anything to negate the doubts that certain people had about Anthony Edwards, about his passion, and that some of it comes from the defensive end and his competitiveness. Again, his athleticism is elite. His physicality and his body for being his age is elite. Um, and I think once he works on his shot, I think he'll be offensively fine. Again, I do just wish he played a little bit more defense. Patrick Williams, getting to him, um, he's been super impressive. Super impressive. His shooting, which is the thing people said he needed to develop and to work on if he wanted to become a great player, he's been good so far. You see here, he's averaging 45.8 from three, and I don't think that is something that's going to stay throughout the season, but still, to be this far into the season, for it to be that high, very impressed. And the defense is just not non-existent. That was Anthony Edwards. The defense has been something you can't question, right? That's the one thing we knew about Patrick Williams coming into the season, and even guys like you see here, LeBron has complimented it. I mean, a lot of guys in the league have already complimented his defensive ability, and that's the thing that we expected. And he's been able to impact the game in multiple ways. He rebounds a bit. Obviously, he's showing the ability to stretch the floor with his shooting. Um, his defense, as we just talked about, is already very, very good. And I think as he develops, he's just going to be a really good piece. And it's interesting, as you can see here, in the article. He didn't he came off the bench for every game at Florida State, but he started every game as a pro. In Chicago, obviously, saw something that not everyone did, because everyone, thought Patrick Williams was going to go lottery, but I think when Chicago took him, it was pretty surprising. But man, he looks really good, and Chicago looks really smart for taking him. Some of the other guys, not listed in the top five, here in the next five, Tyrese Maxey. I like what I've seen from him. I think he's played a solid role for a Philadelphia Sixers team that started really hot. Obviously, they have some stuff with like the COVID and injuries. So it's hard to judge them as a team right now, but I think, Tyrese had the huge game the other night with 39 points, but he's looked pretty good. Payton Pritchard, I'm a huge fan of. I think Pritchard is a guy that to be honest, didn't like. And I know a lot of Celtics fans didn't like either after draft night. A lot of people, including myself, thought that they should have picked Tyrell Terry. Terry hasn't gotten a lot of minutes in Dallas, but Pritchard is just one of those Brad Stevens, Danny Ainge type guys. Like, the more I watch him, the more I understand. He's a Marcus Smart mold kind of guy, a guy that teams hate playing against, but you love having on your team. Isn't the most athletic or talented, but man, he just goes out there, makes winning plays, and competes 150% of the time. And to get a guy like that on your team late in the first round, a team that is still competing, really good for the Celtics, and they really haven't felt the absence of Kemba too much between Pritchard and Jeff Teague. Um, I think Denny has shown glimpses of being a really good player. He looks in control and poised. He's a smart player who can do a bit of everything. I think he's a pretty advanced at his age, in terms of just IQ and just talent. He doesn't get a lot of usage, and it's difficult. You have Bradley Beal, who's leading the league in scoring, and Russ, who usually has a high usage rate. And then guys like Rui, who's going to get his amount of touches, and Thomas Bryant, who's now out, but he was putting up really good numbers and playing well. So it's hard to judge him based off of just like counting stats, right? The 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists don't look amazing, but if you watch the games, I think he's looked pretty good. His shooting is, I think, a little bit better than I expected as well. Um, if you look at Cole Anthony, Cole is another guy who's shown glimpses. His shooting percentages haven't been great, but with Fultz out, he's going to get more minutes. That means both an opportunity for guys to for Cole Anthony to grow and develop and learn. It's also means all those minutes are chances for him to mess up, and he might look bad on certain nights. He might have nights where he's shooting 10% or has 7 turnovers. But um, if you're Orlando, obviously the Fultz and the Jonathan Isaac injury from last year hurt a lot. Maybe they don't make it to the playoffs this year. I didn't have them in, but I also had Washington in, so maybe a potential spot open there. But yeah, I mean, they now get to just throw Cole Anthony into the fire and let him just develop on the job. And, we'll get to see more of, what he can be and what he can produce this year. Sadiq Bey has actually been a nice surprise for the Pistons. Good rebounder. He's one of the better shooters in the draft. Him and Desmond Bain, who can really shoot it. Detroit's another team that's kind of like the Wizards and the Magic, where things are kind of hectic. He's been one of the bright spots for that team, though, and along with Jerry Grant, who, he one of the candidates for most improved players. Just putting up pretty good numbers, but yeah, bright spot for the Pistons, and is performing way better than Killian Hayes, who's now injured, and Killian Hayes, who I was really high on. I still think he'll be fine. Point guard's not an easy position to learn in the NBA. None of them are, but it's point guard even more so. He's injured now, so definitely unfortunate. And besides Killian, speaking of injuries, Obi Toppin for my Knicks, he's been injured. Onyeka Okongwu has been injured. Isaac Okoro has been injured. So there's been a decent amount of injuries to rookies, which is definitely unfortunate. Some other guys, Precious Achua for Miami, he's looked pretty good. Has had a really good game for Miami last time out. Emmanuel Quickly, for those of you that haven't seen our other videos, um, I'm very high on him. Again, I'm a Knicks fan, so it's kind of natural, but I do think he has some really nice tools. He's a guy that I think sacrificed his game at Kentucky and played off ball for Maxey and Coach Cal, but he can really shoot it, plays good defense, his playmaking is better than advertised. With the logjam of guards over there, it's been hard for him to get consistent minutes, but I think he's shown some really nice things as well. But yeah, shorter episode today. Kind of unfortunate what is going on in the league with the postponed games. But the health of the players and the people around the league are obviously the priority. As a fan, I don't want the NBA to go, postpone games or for there to be a break. But I do hope that Adam Silver and the NBA just does the right thing here. We do have Kyrie coming back on Saturday, so him being back, and then whenever Harden comes to Brooklyn, that'll be exciting to watch. KP coming back and looks good. That's big for the Mavs. So there's definitely some things we can talk about. But yeah, if you could remember to subscribe, like, share, and comment, mean a lot. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you guys soon.